Driving through Berkeley and parts of the Bay Area, you'll see this billboard, where'smyberkeleycop.com. And if you log onto the site, an explanation from the department's Police Officer Association on the staffing crisis it's facing.
I think we're looking at 26 officers have left in just the last year.
That may not sound like a lot, but for a department that is authorized to have 181 officers, losing just one hurts. According to the POA, the number of residents have increased by 12% since 1999 in Berkeley. Over that same time, they've had a 35% reduction in officers. The most recent numbers released by the mayor's state, Berkeley PD has 160 officers on the force, 7 of which are still in training, and it takes more than a year before they'll be on the streets.
The council and the mayor need to decide if they value public safety in the city of Berkeley, and if they do, they need to support the officers of the Berkeley Police Department.
The mayor says the city spends 54% of its revenue on public safety. Still, some officers say that's not enough to keep the department competitive, and on top of that, many of the perks they once had are now gone.
We don't have tasers, we don't have canines, we don't have a helicopter unit, we don't have a marine unit. Soon we might not have a motor unit. We don't have a drug task force unit anymore.
City leaders point out they provided officers with important tools, like the use of pepper spray and banning people from bringing in weapons during protests like this from earlier this year. The mayor says he supports the police department and is committed to help the chief find qualified candidates, but until that happens, officers say they're worried.
It has a tremendous impact on the services we provide to the community, officer safety, and overall it has an impact on morale.
Still, both sides say community safety is their #1 priority.
Berkeley police are dealing with a major staffing shortage. KPIX5's Da Lin reports on why dozens of officers are leaving the force.
A crisis at the Berkeley Police Department. The chief says he doesn't have enough officers to hit the streets. The department has already gotten rid of the bicycle patrols and drug task force. Now the chief is proposing to eliminate the traffic division and move some investigators to patrol the streets.
We're a dense city, over 100,000 persons, and we need our police officers to be there and be responsive. It's alarming.
Councilman Ben Bartlett does not believe Berkeley will be less safe, but says they need to solve the problem fast.
They have trouble retaining talent, and that kind of migration is not a good sign.
The police officers union says just this year, 26 officers have left the department and more are on their way out. On its website, the union blames politics and the anti-law enforcement sentiment. Officers have received a lot of criticism in recent years over their handling of protests. In the meantime, some people in Berkeley say they worry about slower police response time.
I think having fewer police available for the various needs is not a good thing.
Berkeley had more cops 20 years ago than they do now. Right now, the department has about 160 officers.
You know, Berkeley's never really had an image as being a pro-cop town. Berkeley has no shortage of homelessness, or traffic, or civil unrest. But what it does have is a serious shortage of cops.
I've never seen it this low.
Chief Andrew Greenwood has spent 35 years with the Berkeley PD.
We have come down from 200-ish officers during a point in my career. Now our staffing is at 176.
But of those, only 160 are on the streets. As a result, the department has had to stop its popular bike patrols of the downtown, eliminate special units, and it will soon park its traffic patrol as well.
To shift them to patrol to make sure we're ensuring basic safety levels in patrol, and into our detective division to make sure we're getting the fundamental baseline delivery of follow-up investigations.
The loss of the bike patrol has been an especially hard hit for stores in the downtown and Telegraph Avenue.
The image matters a lot. We really depend on having the cops around to improve the sense of security.
You know, if you have somebody who's camping outside of your store or causing problems or whatever, it can be an hour or 2 hours before we get a response.
It's a frustration for the cops as well. Often as not, the person they tried to help or had to arrest one day will be back on the streets in a day or two.
The same cycle over and over.
Even with the starting pay of $95,000, other departments are paying even more. And then, of course, there's the cost of living.
Some of our folks really have to commute quite a ways. I'd say generally from even up as far beyond Sacramento, Stockton, and south to San Jose.
None of this is being lost on the mayor.
Definitely going to be an impact, but we are working to try to not only retain but also attract new officers.
Now, it's not going to be easy. Just to be qualified for a cop, you have to have extensive background checks. You have to pass a rigorous testing. You have to go to the academy. You know it's a very difficult process. And it's not just the pay. It's the question of opportunities. If you're shrinking and other departments are expanding, well, you might go elsewhere. But the real kicker, Ken and Veronica, is that once these cops are trained and on the streets, after a couple of years, they're looking really good to those departments that are a lot closer to Stockton, Sacramento, and where these guys and gals live. And they want a shorter commute, so a lot of them are just opting out.
Fantastic.
Please clap.
Because you'd be in jail.
By the end of this evening, I'm going to be blamed for everything.
Why not?
You better believe it.
Both sides. Subscribe to Very Fake News.